So this is the story of how I went from a broke 18-year-old making literally $8 an hour, putting the fries in the bag, like not even joking. I was a fry cook basically at a cheesesteak and hoagie place, to making over 100K per month at 23 years old, which even now today still sounds insane to say out loud. I live in my dream apartment in Miami. I drive my dream car. I bought a C8, put it all matte black. It's on my Instagram. You can go check it out if you want. And this is actually being recorded in New York right now, but that's not the point of this video. I'm going to tell you my full story, how I went from being that broke 18-year-old kid, my entire business journey, all the failures, all the courses I bought, the mentorship, everything A to Z, to the point when I was 22 in September of 2024, and I made 120K in a single month for the first time. And I did it while talking about my biggest passion in the world, which is sports, which is even crazier. I love my life more than anything, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. And yeah, let's get into it. So back when I was 16, 17, I was in high school, sophomore year, junior year of high school, and I wanted to just talk about sports online. Completely faceless, by the way. I would make, for example, Philadelphia Eagles fan pages. Like, I'm a huge Eagles fan. Or an NFL fan page where I would talk about which player do you think's better, and then like people would comment, people would like. And I got these pages up to, let's say, 10, 20,000 followers-ish. And then what happened is brands and people selling betting advice started reaching out to me and saying, hey, can I run sports betting ads on your page? Or hey, can I run an advertisement for my product? And I'd say, of course. So then I naturally started making some money from that, a couple $100 here and there every month. And I was happy at the time, but I knew it wasn't going to let me live my dreams. It was just some extra money on the side. So I knew what it was like to run a sports page and make some money from it, but I didn't know how to scale it up effectively and efficiently. So as I'm turning 17, I realized, man, maybe it's time to sell these pages. And I ended up selling them both for about like $800 in total, which probably could have got more, but it was just such a headache running them. But what I did then is I took that $800, and I'm about to tell you guys a free business model. If you want to do it, you can, but like I don't recommend it. You won't ever make crazy money with it. Basically, was I took the 800, I found sports pages that were dead, meaning hadn't posted in a while, between like 20K and like 80K followers. And I would just sit in class, in like my math class in high school, and I would just DM all of them, like, hey, would you sell me your page? Would you sell me your page? Would you sell me your page? And after DMing like a couple hundred, few of them would, for like $400. And imagine, I just bought a sports page, hasn't posted in a while, has 50,000 followers for $400. So then for 2 weeks, I would post, get the audience back up, engaged on it, and then I would go to the guys that used to run advertisements with me, and they would be like a random like 40-year-old dude who had 300 followers on Instagram, and he was selling his sports picks, sports betting advice. And I would go to him and say, hey, I used to run this page, how are you doing? He'd be like, yeah, I'm doing great. Guess what? I have this sports page, it has 50,000 sports fans following it. Imagine if you bought my page and then started selling your betting advice to my followers. How many more sales would you make? How much more money would you make? And little does he know, I just paid $400 for this page. But these guys would get so excited, and they would be like, 1,500, boom. And just like that, as a 17-year-old, I was making $1,000 a month. I'd say I'd have like one good flip a month or two good flips. Let's say $1,000 to $2,000. And then when I turned 18 in February of 2020, I started my main business, which is the one that made me 100K a month recently. And it's called Elite Pix. And basically, I realized like, hey, if these guys are making money sports betting, why can't I? So naturally, I build up a page and I start selling betting advice on it. And in my first month, I made $1,400. Then COVID hit, which was really annoying for like a few months because sports were off. But I consistently, as I was an 18-year-old, was making about 1 to 2K a month, which was at the time for me like amazing. But I didn't know how to deliver a good product. I was just basically paying someone else who told me they were a pro sports bettor for their advice, and then I was reselling it and giving him a cut, if that makes sense. And after a year, I fired him and didn't really know where to go with it. I had the followers, but I had no clue on the next steps. So naturally, I started messing up. I started hiring people, firing people, paying coaches. I bought a social media marketing course on how to run a Facebook ads agency. I was trying to do a million things, and I couldn't just focus on one thing. But after a while, I sat down, turned 19, and then in about February of 2021, that next year, so 1 year into the business, I realized why don't I just go on some of these tracking websites? There's like websites where you can track your sports bets and you can see like who's the most profitable. And it's almost like a rankings sheet. One of them's called BetStamp. There's one called Action Network. Anyway, I found like the most profitable guys on these apps, and then I would DM them, as much of them as I could. And be like, hey, come work for me, come work for me, come work for me. I'll give you 10% of my company. I'll give you 20% of my company. All I need is you to send your betting advice to my followers after they pay me. And I'll give you a percent of my company, and I get to market your results to people because their results are really good, as I said. And after I started doing that, I got the company from 1 to 2K a month overnight to 5 to 10K a month. At 19 years old, I had my first $10,000 profit month. Was losing my mind. My parents and I used to fight about going to college or not. I actually even got offered over $1 million for the business at one point. It was in like stocks. It was not a good deal, but ended up declining that. And basically my parents were like, oh, if you make 25K a month at some point in the next year, you can drop out, because they were paying for my school. And I was like, I just don't want to do this. I can make so much more on my own. And within that year, I did make it to 25K a month. Dropped out, and you would think from there, smooth sailing. But that's not what happened. After I dropped out, it was actually the worst year of my life, because I made the 25K a month, dropped out, made it again, and then I hit a wall. I reinvested probably in total like 80K into my business in a span of a few months, building softwares, bots that my clients could use to make my product better, so that I could give a full refund guarantee if we didn't get results, which I actually did. And it was hell. There's no other way to put it. I had a year after I dropped out of school, the first year, where I made $214,000 and I spent $220,000. My company lost like 6 to 10 grand. I don't know the exact number, but it was in that range. After I dropped out, my parents were kind of like losing their mind. I was paying for networking groups just to meet people that were in online business. I was paying for coaching. I paid some random guy 30 grand to coach me on how to get better at business that he sold his software company. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to figure it out, making all these expensive mistakes. And after that year, I was in a pretty dark place, but I kept pushing, kept meeting new people, and I learned what actually I should be doing. Types of content I should be making, the promotions I should get, the partnerships I should make. And in year 4, everything took off. From January of 2024 to about August, I was making 15 to 20K a month, let's say, profit. And then September hit of 2024, where I made 120K in revenue and I personally profited 90 grand. Then in October, I did 140 grand in revenue and I profited over 100 grand. And in my peak month, my best month ever, November of 2024, which was at the time if I'm recording this is like 8 or 9 months ago, I made $152,000 in revenue and I profited personally over 110 grand, which is insane to even say out loud. And that my operating profit was actually about 90% 90 to 95%, but I pay my team a profit share. So their cut comes out of after all the necessary expenses to generate that revenue, if you follow what I'm saying. But anyway, and I've got to the point now where, as I said, I'm living my dream life. I'm talking about sports. My company's very automated. I work 10 hours a week, but I worked really hard to get to where I am. And that's the journey that I took A to Z to get to this place. And I spent so much time. I've lost so much headspace. I can't even stress to you guys how mentally messed up I was, because I sat in my parents' basement 12 hours a day from age 18 to 22. I didn't leave, literally. I didn't go out on weekends, and if I did go out on weekends with my friends, I would be so mad at myself that it would make myself sit inside for 2 more weeks and just work. That's the level of dedication it took. But there is another way, and I'll be giving you guys some more info soon on that. And actually, my high school best friend came to me about a year ago, and he was like, hey, I don't want to work a job. Help me. And within a year, I gave him all my systems, access to everything I did, everything I learned. And he made over 150K profit doing the same things that I did, talking about sports. So that's my story. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, if you want to watch some more of my personal life, my lifestyle, you can go check out my personal Instagram. I post a lot more there. But yeah, appreciate you all for watching. Thanks.